Hello, welcome. In today's video I'm going to be taking you through our recent trip to Thomasland at Drayton Manor, giving you my honest opinion of it, what I really liked, what was not so good, how it was value for money wise, etc. I booked this trip in January. There happened to be a January sale on. I booked a 2-day pass for the park and an overnight stay in the hotel on site, and it included breakfast. That was for 4 of us, 2 adults and 2 toddlers, 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And the cost of that was £221.60, which I thought was really good value given that you got the 2 full days at the park. So Drayton Manor is situated just outside of Birmingham. It's a 2-hour 20-minute drive for us from where we live in Essex. We had a stop on the way, so it took us nearer 3 hours to get there. And for us, that's where a 2-day pass somewhere really helped, because it takes the pressure off. So we had a birthday breakfast of birthday cake and then a few prezzies to open before setting off. And as I said, the nice thing about having a 2-day pass was that it took the pressure off. There was no need for us to leave at the crack of dawn, and we arrived at the hotel at around midday.
Do you want to know where you're going for your birthday, JJ?
Yeah.
Do you want to know?
I do.
You want to know. What was on Jamie's balloons this morning? Thomas the Tank Engine? Thomas! Are we going to Thomas the Tank Engine land?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We're
going to Thomas the Tank Engine.
Tank Engine, Thomas the Tank Engine land. Thomasland.
Thomasland, Daddy.
Wow, that's where we're going. Oh my word, it's a choo-choo train.
Gonna go? What?
That's what I watch. Are we going to see all Thomas's friends?
Aha. Yes, we are.
And Thomas.
And Thomas.
Thomas.
Are we going to ride on them?
What did you say?
Are we going to ride on them, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So once we arrived at the hotel, we picked up our tickets for the park. It was just a short hop across the car park from the hotel, and I like the fact that we didn't have to walk far. As soon as we got into the park, we hit the carousel before grabbing some lunch. So for lunch we went to a burger bar, and the queue was insane. The quality of the food was pretty good, but it was expensive for what it was, and I was kicking myself a bit that I hadn't thrown together a packed lunch or bought some sandwiches on the way. I paid around £40 for 1 adult meal and 3 kids meals and drinks.
Little one's got the seatbelts on?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Check yours is sign off. Go. You ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Steady. Are you smelly?
Oh. Choo choo. Don't bash into anything. Oh. My best girl. Well done! Oh, it stopped. Okay, all change, get out. Oh no, it's going backwards! Oh no!
So as you can see, we had a great time on the rides. We went on just pretty much everything that we came across. The queues were really good in the afternoon, that first afternoon that we went. It was a May bank holiday weekend, but it really wasn't too busy. And in general, we found that the queues got better as the day went on, and people obviously went home earlier. We also went on the little train ride, which you'll see now, and that took us to the other side of the park. And there was this lovely little mini zoo, and there was a great outdoor play area, which was really quite big. We went there on the first day, and we were glad that we did, because the weather was so much nicer on that day and I would have preferred not to have been in the park in the mud. So we had pre-booked our table for dinner for the first night, and I would recommend that if you are going to have dinner at the hotel that you do book in advance. It was super easy to do online, or you can call and book. So once the park was starting to close for the day, we headed back to the hotel. We went straight for dinner. The food was really nice. It wasn't too bad. I think value for money wise, you definitely could have found cheaper elsewhere outside of the hotel, but it was really easy and convenient for us. We were really tired after a super long day. There was also a really nice park area outside of the hotel, and I couldn't believe that the kids still had energy, but they proved me wrong and they had a really good run around. The park was set over a really big space. So once we had had a run around at the park, we settled into our hotel room. So for our room, we had a family room which had a double bed, had a sofa bed that was fully made up when we got there, and we took our travel cot with us, which we always do when we're travelling in the UK just because it's easier, and we put that up in between the two beds. The beds weren't massively super comfy or anything, but for one night it was absolutely fine. We all slept really well. We were super tired. So the next day we packed up the car and then we headed to breakfast. It was a buffet style help yourself breakfast with hot and cold food. There was tons of choice. The boys really enjoyed it, and as you could see just from those shots there, it was a sort of character meet and greet breakfast where Sir Topham Hatt and his helpers came round from table to table, and the boys really enjoyed that. The next day it was quite drizzly. The weather wasn't too bad at all, winning a drenching or anything, although Jamie did decide at one point to lay down in a puddle, so did require a full change of clothes, typical toddler. However, it really wasn't too bad. I was super glad that we did the zoo and the park area the day before, but it didn't put us off at all. Really enjoyed it. This particular ride that you can see now gives you a really good overview of quite a lot of the park, all the different rides there. There was so much to do, so much to choose from. We basically on the second day went on our favourite things again, and then made sure that we went on absolutely everything possible, bar the longer train ride to the other side of the park, because we had done that on the first day. If the weather had been really nice and sunny, we might have done that again to have had another little run around in that park area, but didn't really particularly feel the need to. One thing that I would say is that if the weather is going to be bad on a day, then I would do what we did and save going to things like the soft play for your bad weather day. There's also a little cinema which we didn't get round to.
Oh, brilliant driving, Zeddy! Hello, chickens! Hello, pigs!
So this was one of those rides where Eddie could go on, my nearly 4-year-old, but Jamie, who is 2, could not. But it was super good fun for Eddie, and I took Jamie on another ride at the same time.
Ooh, bye-bye, Mama! Bye-bye, Eddie! Where are they going? Scary? I think it is.
So this was one of the faster rides with a height restriction, meaning that my nearly 4-year-old could go on it, but my 2-year-old could not. These really were quite whizzy, these rides. For someone like me who hasn't been to a theme park for a long time, I really enjoyed it. So as well as I mentioned earlier, as well as going on the rides, we went to the soft play. I didn't get any footage inside the soft play. You weren't allowed to take any for understandable reasons. There were also some other toddler-friendly rides in the main park outside of Thomas Land, but there weren't that many. We did a few. We did the carousel a couple of times. We went on these pirate ship swings, which you'll see coming up shortly. And there was also a ride which was like cowboys and sheriffs. So we went on that, and it was sort of a sit-on, ride-on, but it wasn't like a roller coaster. And you shot at the baddies basically as you went round. We went on that a couple of times. And then on the second night, which I will show you in a little while, we headed to Ventura Park nearby, and we went to Nando's. That was on a recommendation of a friend. There were tons of restaurants there: Pizza Express, KFC, McDonald's. There's also a Five Guys opening there in June 2022. So I'd recommend that you consider that. You could even consider that at lunchtime if it is really busy in the park. It's a really super short trip out, so you could go out for lunch. You get a stamp if you need to leave the park for whatever reason, which I did when I had to get some clothes for the littlest one who lay in a puddle. So you can do that and then you can come back, and that would have probably saved us time on the first day we went to the burger bar. What you got, JJ? You got corn in the cob. So my top tips for travelling to Thomasland at Drayton Manor. Firstly, I would look out for deals for a 2-day park pass, including hotel and breakfast, as we found that this was a really cost-effective way to enjoy the park, and also really took the pressure off in terms of not having to leave at the crack of dawn, not having to pack it all into one day, and being able to spread it out over 2 days. My next tip would be to bring a packed lunch. We really enjoyed eating out in the evening, but we could have done with saving some money when it came to lunch. Whilst the quality of the food was pretty good, the queues were pretty long, and I didn't think it was value for money at all. I thought it was really quite expensive. I didn't really have time to make a packed lunch, which is why I didn't bring one for the first day. Normally I would. However, in hindsight, it would have been better off just going to a garage on the way, buying packet sandwiches, fruit and crisps, etc. Kind of making it a DIY hybrid sort of halfway picnic, and that would have been easily half the cost of the burgers that we had on the first day. So my next tip is that queues actually go down as the day goes on. Generally speaking, as you get into the afternoon, the queues start to disappear for the rides. So if there are some of the rides that take a bit longer to get on, such as the little roller coaster, you might want to wait until later in the afternoon. I'm assuming that people who are traveling home and want to get ahead of traffic leave a bit earlier. So my next tip is to make sure that you're aware of the height of your kiddos before you start queuing for rides. We didn't pay attention on the second day and found ourselves at the front of a queue being turned away for a ride because of Jamie's height, and that really upset him. We were much more careful on other rides as the day went forward, and there were a few rides that Jamie was a bit too short for, but my nearly 4-year-old could go on. So we just make sure that we didn't try to get Jamie on those rides, that we took him onto something else that he enjoyed, while Eddie, the eldest, was enjoying the speedier ride. So my next tip is to get the train to the other side of the park, where there's a little mini zoo and an outdoor play area which the kids really enjoyed. We did that on the first day when the weather was much nicer. And connected with that point, the next tip is that if the weather is forecast to be bad, then wait to do things like the soft play or the cinema for when the weather really turns and you want to shelter. And my next tip, if you are planning on staying for dinner, then I recommend taking a short drive to Ventura Park, which is very close by and has lots of restaurants to choose from. We went to Nando's on our final night before we travelled home. There's also Pizza Express. There is soon to be a Five Guys. According to the internet, it will open in June of 2022. There was a McDonald's, there's a KFC, there's a Greg, so there's a bit of everything for everyone there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this and found it useful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content from me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.